Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 4 of Dubai or Not Dubai. Today this episode is coming to you from back in Dubai and I'm sat by the beautiful Dubai Creek. Now this episode is going to touch upon some of the snippets that I've spoken about in episodes 2 and 3. So if you're new this week and this is your first time watching my channel, make sure you circle back to those episodes and then you can join me right in this moment so that we can move forward and talk about off-plan versus ready properties. Now, of course, with everything, there are pros and cons. It's really crucial when you're looking to invest in Dubai that you take the pros and cons from both sides. You can fully have an open mind and know exactly what you're looking for when you're ready to invest in your next property. So we're going to jump straight in and start with off-plan. Now, for those of you who don't know or can't remember what off-plan is basically something that you buy that is pre-construction. So the project and the building is not yet constructed. You buy it without actually seeing it. You can go to developers' offices and see the models. They give you the payment plans and everything that you need to know, brochures, pictures there. But just note that this is not constructed yet, so you're buying it pre-construction. And obviously a ready property is something that is already physically there that you can go and see. So with off-plan properties, there are a few pros. The first one being that there are flexible payment plans within off-plan projects. So developers set payment plans and it varies completely depending on the project. A lot of the times you might see a brochure of an off-plan property and it might say 80-20, 50-50, 60-40. So just to note that the first number is the percentage that you will be paying during construction, and the second number is the percentage that you'll be paying on handover, meaning when the project is fully done and it is handed over to you with the keys, that's the last percentage that you will pay. To note, some of them also have a post-handover payment plan, which again, it just varies depending on what you're looking for and what you need within a payment plan. Post-handover payment plan also means that you can actually pay a little bit of a percentage after the project is actually finished. You either move in or you rent it out, but that's actually another way around it. But do note that you cannot apply for a mortgage when buying off-plan pre-construction. So another thing, it has multiple opportunities and multiple pathways that you can go down after it has been constructed and also during. So the first one is obviously if you buy it direct from the developer, you can start paying, and once you've hit a certain percentage, which varies developer to developer, you can then actually resale your unit even though the project is still not constructed yet. That's option 1. Option 2 is you can wait until handover, and once the building has been handed over to you and you have your unit, you can go and see it, you can then also sell it then. The next one is you can rent it out long term to tenants, so either for a year, 2 years, however long you like. And then the other option is also that you can put it on short-term rental. So what I mean by short-term rental is you can basically use a service, for example, like Edmonton Towers, who manage your property and they put it on Airbnb and all of those kind of things to basically have short-term holiday rental and a short-term holiday home, which has its benefits and I'll touch upon in later episodes. But those are the main pros, and the biggest one that I would say is that obviously you can gain capital appreciation and return on your investment whilst the building is actually being constructed. So this is why a lot of people tend to wait and keep paying their instalments until it's handed over, because then they see a greater capital appreciation. Do note this will vary depending on which project you pick. There are a lot of off-plan projects and a lot of developers in Dubai, so it's important that you know which ones are going to make sure that it's done on time, that your payments are done on time, that they can answer any questions that you have, and obviously that it looks exactly like the model, because this is a con for some people when investing in off-plan, especially if it's your first time in Dubai. You obviously can't physically see what you're buying. So you're basically going off pictures, previous projects that the developer has done, which is a big one to think about and look at when you're also looking into which project and which developer is going to be best for you. But the massive con for a lot of people for their first time is that you can't physically see what you're buying. But if you go with a reputable developer that has done previous projects, a good thing to do is actually to go and see them, and then you compare, and then you'll know and hope that everything goes smoothly. And you can also talk to a real estate broker, because they will know the ins and outs of all the projects across Dubai, which is a big thing, so that you're not just going for the first one that might look amazing. to you, but maybe there's some things that you don't know about that we may from speaking to the developers. So we're going to move on to ready properties. Obviously, the biggest pro to buying a ready property is that you can actually go and see the property that you're buying. So there's different ways to go about this. You can go through online platforms, you can go to your real estate broker that you trust, say what you need, and they will then do the hard work for you in finding the options and actually taking you to the houses, to the apartments, and actually be able to show you them in the flesh so that they can answer any of your questions in terms of service charges, if there's tenants in there, previous owners, anything that you need to know, they will be able to help and tell you with that. Another thing to note about buying a ready property is obviously you can go off what you can get with your rental income with other things that are happening in the area. Location is a massive one. You can actually buy in a location that is already producing a really high return on investment, which is a massive pro to buying a ready property. Something to note is there are a few more upfront costs when buying a ready property. I'm going to circle back to off-plan. Just note that if you buy an off-plan property, you don't have to pay an agency fee. Your broker will get paid by the developer, whereas when you buy a ready property, there is a 2% plus VAT charge for the real estate broker for doing all of the hard work for you and finding your dream home. So there's some pros and cons to both. I touched upon renting. Now, a lot of people are like, okay, I've got my property, I don't know whether to rent it short term, I don't know whether to rent it long term, I don't know what to do. So again, there's lots of pros and cons to both. I'm going to go into a lot of detail about short-term rental in a couple episodes time, hopefully with a special guest in terms of what we can provide for you at Edwardson Towers. But long-term rental basically means you sign a contract with a tenant who is going to be in there for usually a year. Now, or it can be more or less depending on what you choose. But cons to this is obviously they're in there for a long time. All of the maintenance is still on you because you own the property, so that's quite a big thing. The pros to that is obviously you can actually talk to and know and get to know who is in your property, so that if there are any problems and you are wondering, Huna, in my apartment, you can actually go through that process with your real estate broker as well. If you have any specific requirements, the type of people that you would like in your unit. Now with short-term rental, the biggest thing that I say to people with short-term rental is it completely depends on the area, but let's take Port de la Mer for example. There is no difference in your income for short-term and long-term, which is why there's sometimes a dilemma for owners to know which one is best for them. The biggest thing about short-term rental is you can still get your property for X amount of weeks within the year. So if you want to go on holiday or you want to stay in your own unit, you can actually block out dates with your property management, and that means that you can go and stay in it and you can also reap the benefits of the property that you've purchased. So that is a massive one when it comes to holiday homes and short-term rental. Obviously the pro of this is that you don't really have to do anything when you're doing short-term rentals. The company will do it all for you. So for example at Edwardson Towers we can basically fit it out with all the furniture that's required. They then also literally handle day to day if there's any problems with the people that are staying there. They will be the port of call, not you. So it's all handed over and everything is going to be dealt with by them. So that's a couple things to note when you are deciding if you do invest and you get to the point where you're like, I no longer need to live in it, or I'm just buying it for investment. What do I do short term, long term? There's a couple things to think about. That's all for today. I hope that has given you a lot of food for thought. Don't forget, I'm bringing you one podcast every single week on different topics. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If not, like, share, and